Hello everyone, this is Fabio and welcome back. Today it's a great day for two reasons. First of all, I'm trying a new camera with my new laptop, so I hope you can hear me well and you can see me well naturally. I know that the lighting in my house it's not the best you can get, but what can you do when you have no production value whatsoever? I'm using like my normal light, and it's also a great day because this is naturally a game discussion video. I'm not here to talk about my camera, and we're going to talk about the game that I finished yesterday, and I cannot wait to talk about it. I couldn't wait to talk about it, and that is Ys Memories of Celceta on the Vita, of course. The latest installment of the Ys series by Neon Falcom. And this, to put it simply, I already mentioned it before, but this is the game that made me buy the Vita, basically. I was very interested and excited about Celceta because not only it's an Ys game, and I love the Ys series. You might know, but now I'm really in love with this series. That it is and it isn't a new love for me. It is because most of the games of the series I've played them recently. Why it is not? Because I think I mentioned it already in my Ys 7 discussion. I randomly play Ys for the first time on a Super Nintendo when Ys 3, Wonders from Ys, was released. I rented for a couple of days, didn't know what it was, never heard of Ys, and caught my attention because it had a cool cover and also the weird title made me curious. Like, what's this YS? And I didn't know what Ys was, and I thought, well, maybe I should read it in in English, so it's wise. And yeah, what can you do? And but after that, we had this huge pause in the release of Ys games in both in the West and especially in Europe until Ark of Napishtim. We all know the story. But the thing that made me so curious about Celceta is the fact that it's a part of the Chapter 4 saga of the Ys series. And that made me so curious because both Mask of the Sun and Dawn of Ys, so far the two games of the Chapter 4, were and still aren't released to the West. And since I am a huge fan of the Ys Book 1 and 2 and that kind of system, the run and bump combat system, I've always been very curious about the both Mask of the Sun and Dawn of Ys. But of course you cannot play them unless you have like ROM emulators and stuff like that. But I'm not good at those kind of things. I miserably failed recently in trying to burn an ISO of the Phantasy Star Generation 1 game, so I should probably ask for some help to some friends who are actually much more versatile in these kind of things. I am a disaster, so I cannot play yet those two games that I'm very curious about it, because it's just a feeling. There's no foundation after, and maybe it will not be true, but I have the feeling that I will love both Mask of the Sun and Dawn of Ys when I'll be able to play them. But so far, I was kind of pissed off that because I didn't own a Vita up until recently, I was like, oh, that sucks. I'm going to miss another Part 4 Ys game. I really want to play that saga. I know that it's not a remake of neither Mask of the Sun nor Dawn of Ys. It's its own story. It's an own separate story. But I will get into the story later. But I knew that it was a new game that expanded the story of the Ys universe and of Adol Christin. But I was still very curious. Then recently decided, oh, fuck that, I want the Vita. Because as you know, the other game that was really interesting for whatever reason was Phantasy Star Nova that was supposed to be released on the Vita. Of course, Sega did not release it to the West. It's only in Japan. So it was like, ugh. At first I wasn't sure about getting the system only for Ys, but I saw already many great games. There's all the potential for PS1, PSP, and maybe in the future PS2 game. That would be amazing. And also original Vita games. I mean, it's a system with a massive potential. So I'm very glad that I own my Vita now. And of course, the first game that I bought had to be Ys, because I really wanted to play this. So, what is the story of Ys Celceta? Memories of Celceta. It's kind of difficult to try to explain this without spoiling it, because explaining things that happened after like the first 5 minutes of the game, it's kind of a spoiler. But I like this story. I was the general idea is that you start to play as Adol, of course, and he has lost his memories recently. The main objective of the game, the first objective of the game at least, is to regain your memories as Adol, to understand what happened. And also, the part that I liked, one of the things that I liked the most about the memories, and dare I say even of the entire game, it's debatable, but it's just I was just thinking about it between yesterday evening and today, it's the fact that it's also a bit more personal on Adol. You learn something more about him. And especially, I loved the memories when he was a child, when he started to get curious about adventuring, exploring, and because there's something special and magical about Ys, that it has this, at least, as I say, at least to me, I'm just thinking out loud here, because Ys has this sense of adventure and wonder to me, that seeing Adol as a child, being curious by merchant telling a story that I went to this place, and it's like, oh wow, there is something somewhere else other than the village. Then he wanders in the woods and he sees the mountains and say, this is going on. I mean, the forest wasn't the rest. There are the mountains. Then here there's the ocean, other continents, and he gets more and more curious until he decided, I want to be an adventurer. I want to explore this world. I love that. That made me so made it kind of like reignited this sense of wonder and adventure that someone has as a child. I mean, I remember when I was really, really young, I saw this. My house in Italy has like massive woods close to it, and I always wanted to explore it. It was like what's like after the woods. I remember when the first time because of course as a kid I always wanted to went into those woods to explore them. And I remember one time I finished to explore it. I went out of the woods from the other side and was like, what now? But there's like all areas that I didn't know. I mean, it's really fun, and playing Ys kind of reignited these memories of my childhood about like exploring, adventuring, like explore the world simply. It's something that I always have when I play an Ys game. They have this, not only this old school feeling in general, maybe this modern Ys game a little less than replaying and run and bump game, but in a way that still managed to get it. And this segment with the memories of young Adol, those were fantastic. That was one of my favorite part of the game. Even was just secondary stuff. It's not the main story, because after you decided that you want to regain your memories, you're also like employed by the Roman army in order to explore the forest, to make it safer for the miners, other explorers and settlers, in order to exploit the resources of the forest to the expanding state. And while you're doing this, you start to discover that there's people living in the forest, there's something else outside the forest. It's not limited just to that area. And then from this other story envelops, and you are like in the center of this story that started 800 years ago, and it's connected with the ruin of an ancient kingdom. Great stuff. I love this. But maybe, I'm just thinking about it now, that part with young Adol, how it started to become curious about the world, about exploring. That was really great stuff. I love that. It also kind of like, as I said, reignited these memories and this child inside of you. This, when you yourself have this sense of wonder, you really want to explore the world, that it's out there, open for you, for good and worse, of course. It's not that it's all wonderment, but that was really great. I love that. And Celceta really made me feel like that and says like, oh wow, I love this. And a characteristics I think of Celceta of this game is the fact that in terms of gameplay, I don't want to go too much into the story because I'm afraid of spoiling it, and maybe already spoil something. Sorry, but it's not that it was released yesterday. Um, a thing that I love about Celceta, and I want to spend some words in here, it's of course like the gameplay and the combat system. That it was something that all fans were discussing about it, and basically Celceta, it's the same exact thing of Ys 7. If you played Ys 7, you've played Celceta. It just has a different story and better graphics and something like that. But the basic gameplay, it's that. Celceta is a action RPG with an action/action RPG that I've just inverted the two. Just like Ys 7, this is not like Oath in Felghana or Origin or Ark of Napishtim, the more platformers action RPGs. So if you were annoyed, you didn't like from Ys 7 playing as 8 other characters, and that kind of combat system, that it's more hack and slash, that is the same exact thing, and it's probably the way Ys is going to be for a while now. Because personally, I prefer this to Oath in Felghana, for example. This kind of gameplay, it's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. That's the thing. Playing as Adol, having party members, the combat system with the dodge mechanics, it's all fantastic. It works extremely well, very smoothly. It's even better than 7, even though it's very, very similar. I just thought it was a bit smoother because of the horsepower of the psvita, of course. But you got the skills, the super moves. It's Ys 7 on steroids, basically, with a different story. And of course, if you prefer playing as Adol on his own, more platformer games, your favorites are going to be Oath in Felghana especially, and Origins. Napishtim is the same thing, but it's just like you have to play Felghana. It's the much better version of Napishtim. Origins was very good for that. But 7 and Celceta are now, I think, what Ys is going to be in terms of gameplay and combat, since and it doesn't bother me at all. It never crossed my mind for a single second that I don't like this, I want to play as Adol alone. And I don't mind that. I love Oath in Felghana. I love the old school games. Playing as Adol on itself, it's fine, but I also like the party members. I love these other characters. In a way, to me, it's like exploring a bit more the Ys universe, to see the people who live in this world. And just like in 7, Celceta has an interesting cast of side characters, from Duran, Karna, Kalilika, Osma, Frida, and who's missing? I don't remember if I'm forgetting someone. Oh, I got Karna, Duran, Karna. Oh well, whatever. There are 6 in total, 6 characters. I think I said all of them. I just. Anyways, there are 6 characters that you can use in your party, including Adol. And just as I said that the combat system, it's the same and everything. Also, the only small complaint that you can have, that it's more than a complaint, or it's nothing that ruined the game or nothing like that at all. It's really a small thing, but the same kind of little thing that was in E7, it's in Celceta as well, and it makes sense. The fact that you have double characters with the same two characters with the same characteristics. So you have slasher kind of characters, impact kind of characters, and piercing kind of characters. So you got Adol and Frida are the slashers, Duran and Kalilika are the heavy hitters, and Karna and Ozma are the piercing ones. Like she throws knives, he has a spear, and you can say that it's kind of necessary to have the same characters, two characters with the same characteristics, but it's a combat system that it's based on the rock paper scissors mechanics. So certain enemies are more vulnerable to slash attacks or impact attacks, so stronger attacks, or to throwing, like the throwing knives or the spear. It depends on the kind of enemy, but that's the idea. So if you want to have the party members, it's easy to get in that thing that two of them has the same thing. It doesn't bother me at all for the most part. Sometimes I even use in my party, I never, it's for the most part I actually had characters with the same characteristics. Like for the most part of the game, and at the end of the game, my party was made by Adol, of course, because you had to have Adol, Frida, and Karna. But then, if it's necessary, I use Duran, Kalilika, or Ozma. So, but I like this character, just like I like those in E7. It doesn't bother me at all to have party members, even though for someone was weird having playing as someone else other than Adol. But I like these characters. They were interesting. Maybe they can have a bit more side story, but I think they were already a little deeper than those of E7. Although not too much, because they're the secondary characters for a reason. And there are others that you cannot use, like Lisa, or there's even Dogi. That was awesome, by the way. I don't tell you how or when or why, but there is Dogi for 2 seconds in this game, and that was awesome. And but yeah, I mean, I love this mechanics because I love this new school, these modern East games. Even though my favorites are still the old school, I really love that run and bond. There's nothing you can do. It's so fun, so addictive, that if you play it and like it, it will probably remain as your favorite. I mean, my favorite East game is still Book 1 and 2. Because not only of the music, because the music in these games are phenomenal, I'm going to talk that about that in a minute, but that gameplay, it's so addictive, it's so fun, it's so old school and ease-ish, that there's nothing you can do. You just, if you like it, you're going to love the run and bump. But these modern East games are fantastic, from Oath Falgana, Origins, E7 and Celceta. They're all phenomenal games. And what can we say about the music? Of course, it's an East game. The music is awesome. JDK, to me, not only they're phenomenal, but in my opinion, they always give their best in terms of quality of music with ease. I haven't played other obscure Falcom games, older games especially. Even though I love Falcom, I'm not as fanatic as, for example, RPG Swagman, of course. It's well worth to be fanatic about Falcom. It's an amazing company, but some of these games are pretty difficult to find. And but I love the soundtrack of these East games. I play 4 Legend of Heroes games. The soundtrack is really good, like Trace in the Sky, Tear of Vermilion, Song of the Ocean. Great soundtracks, really good. Sometimes a little somber, wonderful melodies. But there's something special about East soundtracks to me. That they're more rock and better suited in a way for an adventure. You know, exploring a forest with this soundtrack was just right. It felt right. Even though I am just saying how much I love the rock-ish soundtrack and music and feeling of Celceta, my favorite theme of the game was actually the one in the title screen. That wonderful piano theme when you start the game with the title screen. That was amazing. The first time I heard it, I almost had goosebumps. because they say this is so beautiful. And even though it's like this sort of ballad, it's not even a ballad, but this melody is a bit kind of sad in a way, but also nostalgic, somber, mysterious. There's all these feelings while I was listening to this. This is so good. And then the rest of the soundtrack is fantastic. I don't know if any game will be able to top the soundtrack of Oath Falgana, because that is still, to me, my favorite. That soundtrack it's timeless. That soundtrack of Oath Falgana, it's really untouchable to me. Even though I love the soundtrack of E7, I love the soundtrack of Celceta. Of course, I really want to buy the soundtrack because, as I already mentioned, and as you can notice, I don't have the Silver Anniversary Edition because it was too expensive. So I don't have all the extra content. And I want to buy the soundtrack, of course. It's just as I did for Trace in the Sky. The special edition was insanely expensive, so I bought separately the game and the soundtrack. I will do the same with this East game. The only problem is that these soundtracks can be quite expensive, but it's well spent money to me, if you like video game soundtrack. But with JDK, I will say music in general, because it's just fantastic music. And this East soundtrack, Oath Falgana, Origin, E7, Celceta, these are fantastic soundtracks, highly recommended. Just if you like music, not only video game soundtracks. And what can be said for the future of the series now? Because I'm really curious about E's story now, because I didn't remember because they said it at the beginning of the game. I was thinking, since Adol is really young in this game, I thought this might be the first adventure chronologically, but they say that it's right after book 1 and 2, because they mention the facts on Hysteria, so the mysterious island that was recently freed by a mysterious swordman. So this is like the second adventure chronologically. And what I don't know, I wanted to ask to you, East fans, is it Celceta connected with Mask of the Sun? Because you know why, I'm not going to mention it, but it seems like what it is, a sequel, a prequel? I really don't know. Really curious about it. Let me know, because I don't know. I'm not that knowledgeable in East stories. But I'm very curious what they're going to do next. I know there's a new game coming for PS4 and I hope PS Vita now. But I'm sure they're going to do something for the Vita if the new East game, that maybe it's going to be East 8, it's only for PS4. Really hope they're making a Vita game, because these East games, in a way, needed to be portable. Playing these East games on the go, like everybody else, any other games, it's just awesome playing these games on the go. There's something special, even more like an adventure like East. You really want to have it on the Vita. But, well, if it's on the PS4, can you import it to the Vita? I still need to know how to use it very well. But so I'm sure that soon we'll see the remake of East 5 of Kefin. That is one obvious game that they can make. And East 8 we'll see. I will like a remake of both Mask of the Sun and Dawn of East, since they did remakes for this old school game on newer system. Look at the East on PSP. So I would really love both Mask of the Sun and Dawn of East on the Vita, for example. That would be so perfect. And it's two games that we Western players and fans of the series never had, legally at least. And it's just fitting, so we can have the entire chapter 4 and played it and enjoyed it as we're supposed to do. So overall, just in case there's anything else I can add, but I just want to mention especially some part with the story and the gameplay. Something else I can add about the Memories of Celceta. Naturally, this is a huge recommendation. You can't go wrong with this. To me, it's worth having a Vita for Celceta. It's that good. I might even say that it's my favorite modern East game, not my favorite in general. It's almost there. It's really good. Before this, I said that E7 is my favorite. Now Celceta, it's a bit better. Like the graphics, it's fantastic in the image, but there's not much to say about graphics. It's really gorgeous to look at it. I love the models and of these characters. For example, one of my favorite characters was Frida. Even though she's not the most important character in the story, but I just love her design, her looks, and her character, her story in a way. She's a great character. But all of them, I really like Ozma, Karna, all of them. They're really, really cool design characters, really interesting. They have their stories, as I said, but great graphics, great design, amazing music, of course. So huge recommendation. You can go wrong with an Ys game, and Celceta, as I said, to me it might even be my favorite modern Ys game because I just I really love the combat system and the gameplay. I love Felgana, I love Origin, but I prefer this hack and slash action RPG a bit more than the platformer. Another thing I was almost forgot, the difficulty. This was a very easy game to me. I played on normal because I want to enjoy my games the first time. Now, of course, I was replaying a little today and I moved to hard. But I want to enjoy my game. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I finished really difficult games in my time. But I have to say, usually the first time I always play on normal. I don't see why you have to punish me. And this was really easy. This was a really easy game, I have to say. I already said it, E7 was not difficult. I'm mainly focusing on boss battles. E7 was easy until the last two battles. The second to last and last boss, I died a couple of times there. In Celceta, I never died on a boss battle. Never. Even the final battles, never. I beat them at the first try. Now, baby, playing on hard will be more difficult and challenging. But I found it was very easy. Like Felgana drove me insane on a couple of boss battles. I still remember, like the most infamous to me was the battle against the three harpies. Those three killed me so many times. I was furious. Origin was also difficult. Like boss battle on those platforms are harder. Maybe because you don't have the dodge battle. I mean, that dodge mechanics, it's really a lifesaver, especially in boss battles. And while on both 7 and Celceta, I found it really, really easy. And it's not a problem. I don't mind easy game. Of course, if I wanted more challenge, I would start playing on very hard. But that's not the point. I want to enjoy my game. Even if it's easy, I don't care. I mean, it wasn't too easy. Of course, like I had to use potions and stuff like that. I died a couple of times here and there, but mostly like exploring the map. And that's another thing that I'm really pissed off because I finished the game with 99.6% of the map. It's not that I care about the trophy or anything, but I was so close that I wanted the 100%. And with these kind of maps, that like these kind of games that you can explore the map, drawing the map, I prefer completing them. I did it for the Castlevania games, for example, and others. So I was gonna, oh, this sucks. It was so close, and even because when it's so close, I have no idea where I'm supposed to look. I don't know what I missed. So that was really annoying, just because it's so close. I want 100%, but oh, whatever. So that's it, guys. These are my thoughts on Ys Memories of Celceta, a fantastic, phenomenal, amazing game on the Vita. It might be my favorite modern Ys game because I love this gameplay style and this combat system more than Othin Felgana and Origins. And of course, as I said, it's a huge recommendation because it's an amazing game. So there you go. I'm waiting for my new PS Vita game. I will try some Gravity Rush now. And thanks for watching, like always, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.